In this tutorial, we're going to use Adobe Illustrator CC 2020 to go through Classroom in a Book Chapter 8, which is all about using color to enhance signage. So in this, we're going to create a few different things. We're going to create this guitar. We're going to create a few different elements in order to learn how to manipulate color better in Illustrator. So let's go ahead and get started by opening the L8 Start 1. And let's do a file save as. And let's do a save as first initial last name underscore Adobe Illustrator Chapter 8. Let's call it Part 1 and Adobe Illustrator and save and say OK. All right, let's go ahead and explore the few things. So as we know, we've got two different types of color modes in when we are designing. We've got CMYK, which is cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, which is used for 4-color process printing, and we have RGB, which is red, green, and blue light, which is used to create different types of color on screen. So we can actually go ahead and change the mode depending on what your end result is going to be. So when we traditionally work with color, usually we call it painting. We use a lot of different types of panels, and we're going to go ahead and mess with a few different things. So we're going to start with our first artboard. So let's go here to Festival Sign, and we're going to manipulate the colors in this guitar. So with our selection tool, let's go ahead and grab this first red section, and we're going to go to the fill box over in our properties panel, and we're going to make sure that we've got our swatches button open, and let's go ahead and grab that orange. So the orange is a color that they have created, so let's go ahead and make it that orange color. So we can go ahead and hit escape, and it'll hide that panel color for us. So now what if we want to go ahead and create our own custom color? Let's go ahead and grab the selection tool again and come down here to the gray box right here, and let's hit fill. And now let's go ahead and do the color mixer, which is the one that looks like a palette. And you're going to see we've got quite a few different items here. You can go ahead and slide that back and forth, change those colors, or we can go ahead and put in the actual colors we want. So what we want is cyan to be 3. I'm going to go tab, magenta 2, tab, yellow 98, tab, and 0. And tab, and we get kind of a nice bright color. And we're going to go ahead and push enter at the end. So colors created in that color mixer panel are not saved anywhere except in what you have created. So we can go ahead and save that as its own swatch. So let's go ahead and close that out, say escape, and let's grab our selection tool and grab that black circle here. And with that black circle, let's go ahead into our properties panel and under fill, and let's go ahead and go to that mixer, make sure we're at cyan 0, tab magenta 84, tab yellow is 100, tab and black is 0, and hit return. We're going to get kind of a funky orange color. And now we're going to go ahead and save that as a swatch. So we're going to go here to our, go back to fills, open up that swatches panel again. And let's go ahead to the new swatch button, which is down here at the bottom. It's a little plus sign. It used to be a little like post-it note. And it's going to say, what do you want to save? And we're going to go ahead and call this dark orange. And by making it global, it makes it so that if we apply this color anywhere, it's kind of like a style. We can change it anywhere that that color is applied. We're going to go ahead and say OK. And now when I see in my library, it's got a little white corner swatch to it. That indicates it's a new global swatch, something that we have made. So let's go ahead and create a copy of that swatch. Let's go ahead and go to our swatches panel, and let's go to the hamburger menu, and we want to go ahead and duplicate swatch. So that way we can go ahead and use what we've already got and create something new. So let's grab our selection tool and grab that light blue guitar shade. And from there, let's go ahead and double click in the fill. Let's go to that double click on the copy that we just made. And we're going to go ahead and make it called mustard. And we're going to go ahead, cyan is going to be 11, Tab magenta is 23. Tab yellow is 100. Tab black is 0. We want to make sure you can actually preview it if you want to. Oh, and undo. Somehow I managed to make sure the wrong thing was selected. So let's go back into this blue and do that one more time. So let's go into the fill, come into my dark orange, double click it, make it mustard, and try that one more time. Cyan yellow, 23, 100, 0. And now I can preview and get kind of a funky orange color and say OK. And I don't know why it's doing both of those at once. So this should be, the fill should be this dark orange. There we go. So now I've got one that's yellow and one that's dark orange. So now we've gone ahead and changed those out. So we can go ahead and edit those global swatches. So let's go ahead and get that gray shape above the Bluegrass Festival. Let's grab that one and let's do a shift click and grab green at the same time. So we're going to grab both of those. And let's go ahead to our fill box. It doesn't know which color it is because we've got a couple here. So let's go ahead, click here, hit swatches. And let's come ahead and put our dark orange color in. And it's going to go ahead and change it to that dark orange. And if we double click on that dark orange, if we decide, hey, we want to change that a little bit, let's go ahead and make that magenta 64 instead and say, okay, it's going to go ahead and change that color anywhere that it is been assigned to be that color. So for some reason, I didn't get that color to come in. I didn't grab that. There we go. All right, so all three of these now are the same color because we changed that global color. So even though we didn't have this selected, it changed it at the same time. Let's go ahead and do a Control S and save what we have so far. So we can also edit a non-global swatch. So when you do that, you're only editing it in one place. So let's go ahead with our selection tool and grab this first guitar shape. And we click on the fill box. We're going to see it's called orange. We know it's called orange because we picked it already. Let's go ahead and if you wanted to, you could change it. Let's go ahead and go to Window. Let's come down here to Swatches. And we're going to go ahead and double click on orange in order to edit it. And we're going to go ahead and change that. This is a great way to edit colors without having to select different types of artwork. So let's go ahead and call it Guitar Orange instead. And let's go ahead with a cyan yellow, magenta 29, yellow 100, black 0. Let's go ahead and make it a global swatch now and say OK. You can go ahead and preview it if you want to. It's going to make it a nice yellow color. And we're going to say OK. So we can go ahead and close that swatches. And let's make sure we've applied that guitar swatch. So we've got it here applied. And let's do a Control S and save what we've got. All right, we can also use the color picker to create a color. So with the selection tool, let's go ahead and grab that blue guitar shape. It's kind of purpley blue. And let's double click on the fill at the bottom of the color picker. So let's go over here and double click. And you see we get another way to play with color. Let's go ahead and bring that down to our orange section. And it doesn't have to match exactly. We're going to go ahead and create those colors. All right, we're going to go ahead and, okay, here we go. Cyan is 8. Magenta is 50. Yellow is 100. And black is 0. And we're going to go ahead and call it OK. And now it's applied to that shape. Let's go ahead and go into that fill box. And let's go ahead, come down and call it a new swatch. And we're going to go ahead and call it burnt orange. And we've got global selected, add to libraries off. Okay. And let's deselect all and do a Control S and save what we've got so far. So there's quite a few different ways we've just learned to play with how to mess with those different elements. So the last thing we want to do is to add a spot color with PMS. So let's go ahead and we're going to apply it to this last gray line that we have in here. So let's go to Window. And we need to come down to Swatch Library, which is hiding way here at the bottom. And in Swatch Library, we want to go to Color Books. In Color Books, we want to go ahead and grab Pantone Solid Coated. So this is how this color would look if it was printed on a solid. So coated kind of is a kind of a glossy page. And let's go ahead and put 137 as the color that we want. And we're going to go ahead and get the 137C. So we want that very first one. And let's go ahead and go to our Pantone 2 from the Artboard navigation. All right, let's go ahead and with the selection tool, let's grab that gray. And from our fill box, we're going to see we're going to get that Pantone color. We know it's that Pantone right here because we're going to go ahead and select it and fill that shape. Let's go ahead and switch back to the other as well. Festival sign and make that gray, that Pantone as well. So you can see we've got quite a few different items there. So let's do a Control S and save. All right, so we can go ahead and create a tint of a color. So let's switch back to our guitar we had in number 2. All right, so next thing we're going to do with our selection tool is we're going to grab these 2 gray areas and go ahead and close that up. So I'm going to hit my first. I'm going to do a shift and grab that second. So I've got both dark gray areas. And in the fill box, we want to go ahead and select that Pantone color. Now we want to go ahead and go to the color mixer and we're going to create our own custom color. And instead of what we have as 100%, we're going to go ahead and make it 70. And you hit enter and you're going to get a much lighter value. So now if we go to our swatches button, so let's go back in, go to our swatches. Let's go ahead and create a new swatch of that color. And we're going to get a second one that says Pantone 137C, but it's 70%. So that's pretty awesome. Easy way to create more colors that we didn't necessarily have before. Let's go ahead and do a select, deselect. And let's come down here to select all on active artboard. So we're going to select everything on this page. And let's go to edit. Let's come down here to edit colors. And we want to go ahead and convert it to CMYK. So it's going to go ahead and change those elements from Pantone into CMYK colors. And that's what we want to do with that one. So now what we want to do is copy some appearance attributes. So maybe we've got a fill, a stroke, some other things selected. Let's go ahead, select and deselect so we don't have anything. So if we go ahead and click on this element right here, you can see that it's got a fill, it's got a stroke, it's got some elements. So what if I want to apply that to this pink as well? So let's go ahead with our selection tool, grab the pink. Let's grab our eyedropper tool over here in the toolbar. And let's go ahead and click on that circle shape. And it's going to go ahead and pick up that color and going to apply what was already applied there. So it makes it very, very easy to develop your own repeatable process. We could do the same to the fret down here. Oh, I got to have it selected first. So escape, or deselect. Go ahead, select out here. Oh, undo. Deselect. So I'm going to select this, grab that eyedropper, and I could create that same type of look right there. So it's very easy to pick up elements and make them repeatable. So let's go ahead and cut this tutorial into another part before we go ahead and start creating color groups. So we'll pick back up in part 2.